Firstly, when we first came here, a lot of people were talking about infrastructure, ERP systems. There's a big hype around, putting in all these I'd say very expensive sort of hardware and architecture, which really helped drive the foundation of what they call the data warehousing practices. And in the middle of, I would say, since about 2000 to about 2007, there was a big explosion, specifically in the financial services sector, where people talked about building data warehouses, data marts. There's a lot of built up angst around that, of which BI became more and more prevalent. And as we saw, these BI systems, although they were very, very good at answering a question, a predefined question, what was being more and more thought of is the fact that the next question wasn't being answered. And so therefore, the evolution of BI today in India as well as the rest of Asia Pacific is meaning more about how we get more users adopting business analytics and what we would call end user business intelligence, which is what the heritage BI players call. We call the user-driven BI environments that we have today. The type of BI is very, very important as well. Many organisations use traditional types of BI, which are more IT architected types. These systems actually are predefined and answer the questions that are defined in the system. What we provide is a system that actually enables you to answer the next question you have. It's a very, very good question, because a lot of people get confused about what big data is, and I'm not really truly there to define that, because you can go to many websites and I'll talk about that. But at the end of the day, it's not about collecting data, it's about using the data. So therefore what we look at is how a user can use that data. And we've been working with, with organisations like Google. We've been working with many, many organisations that are actually grappling, for example, financial insurance organisations, grappling with how they use big data and elements around social media and how they incorporate that into their business decision making. If we see where it came from, it was a small number of users in a community within the organisation that actually built and designed business intelligence systems. Then came the data warehousing, which meant that they started bringing all the data and try to bring all the data into an environment where they can actually have a structured environment to make decisions effective and efficient. What the issue with these is that by bringing all the data in is almost an impossible task, because there's so much data out there. So a proactive approach where actually bringing and unleashing the systems or the data in data warehouses and incorporate that with other environments which may not be in the data warehouse today, but are effective and required to make decisions, is very, very important. Giving the users the ability to build these applications in a way in which they can use them is a very, very, very fundamental part of that. So not relying on IT to go and build every application, but to actually allow the users to actually start building and implementing applications that they need on a day-to-day basis with the appropriate IT governance that QlikView provides. The ability of knowing where the data is coming from, how it is being used, and make sure it's being used by the right people is really what IT want. They don't want to be standing and building applications all the time. What Aberdeen reports have been showing as well is that the lag between asking for a report from IT to getting the report is 3 weeks, 3 months, in some cases 3 years too late. And the reason for that is because the IT infrastructure is really designed really for people, and IT is really wanting to really control and make sure they have the appropriate governance, the appropriate infrastructure in place, and allowing the users to be far more proactive in utilising and using the data they need at the right time, in the right period. If I look back in 2000 when I took a flight from Mumbai to Delhi, and I would walk down the aisles, there was not many people that had a mobile device. In fact, very few. Smartphones weren't really something that people used. They were very much the Nokia type style devices that back in 2000. Today, if I take that same flight and I walk through that plane, everybody is using a handheld mobile device of some description, specifically iPads and other Android type devices. So today, the usability of people and businesses using mobile devices in India is absolutely prevalent, and I'm sure you carry one yourself today. How users are now using this in terms of business intelligence is quite clear, because it's actually providing users information that they can need on the fly. So when I talk about deployment around the region with some of our largest manufacturing companies who are now deploying QlikView across 20,000 sales and marketing people, professionals within an organisation, they are all getting this information on handheld devices. This is part of the future. This is part of our makeup. We use the same handheld devices at home, and we should be using them at work. If I look just in India, if we look at from auto manufacturing, so for example, a Maruti Suzuki or a Godrej in the consumer product lines, or for example, banks and insurance companies, which we have many here in India today, what they are looking at is how they can actually empower users. If you look at the traditional BI environments, the user base is actually quite small. When Gartner has been speaking about this, they say that the true users out there in BI land, are just saying 100%. If we look at what the heritage users would be, it's around 30%, which means 70% of the potential users are actually not using the systems. And the reason for that is they're not designed for users to explore, discover, find information that they need on the fly. So therefore, what we're seeing is an unleashing of a huge potential market, specifically in India and around Asia Pacific, where users used to just use one step away from a data warehouse, a spreadsheet application. Now today they have opportunities to actually use and deploy QlikView, because that actually saves them a lot of capabilities. It also helps IT control and govern data in a more pragmatic and professional manner, as opposed to unleashing just data out into the user community. India is the prime market for QlikView. A system that can be deployed into an organisation in an agile, which means quick, cost-effective manner, which actually requires a little administrative support, is really the future for business analytics and business intelligence. QlikView is primarily built on these principles. So effectively, having the right environment and giving that to the users to help them make better decisions, I believe is going to explode in India, in the India market, as what we're seeing in the uplift across Asia Pacific. So we believe this momentum will continue as we roll forward, and it's not just for the large organisations where we're talking maybe 50,000 user footprints. Also the small, medium areas, markets where effectively organisations may not have the capacity in the IT infrastructure to manage heavy data warehouse capabilities, but actually do require business intelligence in a form that they can use on a regular basis. And whereas many organisations would use sometimes an Excel type based system, can quickly, easily migrate into a QlikView environment, which will give them the huge functionality that's required, what we call gorgeous and genius applications that can be built with this system.